Is up, Rubber Duckies fans? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Duck Pond. Again, I am joined by my co-host Peter Buffone. Not much has gone on this week, Peter. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Just a lot of work over the weekend, a couple tournaments in town, but no Duckies this week because we were backed up on 4 days rest last week. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But it was a good week just to make a little money and have some fun. And no bills, so no real stress on Sunday.
Yeah. Honestly, it was my first Sunday where I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I mean, obviously, I drove. So, I did a North Country swing repping the SUNYAC. And so driving home on Sunday, that's what I did. But, you look forward to Bills football,
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah, but it's less stressful of a Sunday. But that's football though. Let's get into a little bit of hockey here. There is some big news over the weekend, as we covered last week. Jim Montgomery getting canned in Boston. Not 48 hours later, he's behind the bench again in St. Louis with a big hiring there.
yeah, 5 days. Blues fire their head coach, hire Monty. And less than 48 hours, he's going to be behind the bench tonight. Blues. I think they got a 7:30 start tonight. We're recording this on Monday because we're day early. Because Duckies tomorrow. But yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, Jim's a good coach, so you knew he was going to get picked up quick. Blues taking on the Rangers tonight at Madison Square Garden at 7 p.m. So, you know, we got to see. I mean, I saw this great post on Twitter where it was like, yeah, Jim Montgomery had great records in Boston with especially his first year with Bergeron and Krejci and Bruins legends. And even last year, I mean, they weren't bad. They weren't the record-breaking team that they were the year before, but still made the playoffs, made it the second round. So what can he do with a team like the Blues, who have really been struggling lately?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of that same question. And, I'm going to loop it back to football for a second. When Brady left New England, what are we going to see out of Belichick? And we all saw how that worked out. But, it's kind of the
Right.
same question here. Obviously, St. Louis doesn't have the powerhouse lineup that Boston did, even when Monty first started there. So it's going to be really interesting see what he can pull off. He's getting thrown into kind of a situation you see Don Granato and the past Sabres coaches get thrown into too. Not a proven team, um, really young, and you just got to kind of play it out, get him developed, and he might not be the right fit, but hopefully you can put him out onto the right track so they can bring in that person that's the fit and get him back into contention.
Yeah, I mean, the Blues have struggled. I mean, they signed Torrey Krug a couple of years ago, who was a great Boston defenseman. Um, they signed Robert Thomas, who at the time was a big up and comer. They had Ryan O'Reilly, but I mean, they've kind of gone downhill. I mean, ever since their Cup run. So it's interesting to see if a coach really makes a difference, or if it's just, again, even looking at Boston, if it's a player personnel issue. And um, can he take that team to the playoffs this year?
And looking at Doug Bannister here, or Drew Bannister, sorry, who was fired by St. Louis just a couple of days ago. He only got this job, uh, excuse me, about a year ago, December 23rd, 2023, after they fired Craig Berube. So he hasn't been around the team long. It's just, uh, they doesn't seem like they gave him long enough shot to really see what's up. He had about I'd say about a 3/4 of a season total, half a season plus
Mhm.
this year. I think you need at least a season to see what you're going to do with it. And coming in halfway through isn't easy. Ask any of the past 16 Sabres coaches. Um,
Yeah,
but
and the Blues haven't started off to a terrible year. I mean, obviously it's not the standard you want, but I mean they're 9-12-1, sitting at 25th in the league. Um, you look at like Montreal, who has been terrible for the past 3 years, and Marty St. Louis is still behind the bench. So it's maybe just the Blues saw the opportunity to grab a Jack Adams winning coach and Jim Montgomery and put him behind the bench and see what happens. Um, so I mean, it was definitely, it's not a surprise, but it was a surprise, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
you knew someone was going to snatch him up quick. I just didn't think it was going to be this quick.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with Greg Berube, another, going back to the Blues coach just over the offseason. He gets canned at the end of the season, and look at Toronto swooping right in to pick him up. And again, I like
Yep.
looping us back to the Sabres, but even with Lindy in discussion, I mean, even Craig Berube is a big discussion here in Buffalo when they're looking for a new coach.
Right.
So that very well, honestly, is probably the front runner theory for this is you see that coach, the coach with a very impressive resume, as we talked about last week. His overall Montgomery's overall record in Boston being 180, 84, and 33, 71% points percentage. So, I mean, you can't pass that up.
No, you can't. Absolutely not.
Let's take a look here, just a little bit more. Uh, Yeah, Montgomery's first game is tonight against the Rangers, as you said. Then he'll be in New Jersey on Wednesday. Um, and I find it really interesting that the Blues and Boston have already played their two games this year. Because
Yeah.
I think
So
we talked about that. Yeah,
we like the Bruins won't see them until if for whatever reason the Stanley Cup final. If
yeah,
both teams got there. If not, it's going to be next season. So we won't see Jim Montgomery for the rest of the year. But I mean, it's going to be probably a warm welcome for him when he comes home because he is quite beloved by many Bruins fans, and especially myself as a Bruins fan. So, um, I think he got the short end of the stick, in my personal opinion. And I wish him the best in St. Louis.
Hey, so let's take a little bit of a look around the NHL and switch it over to the Sabres. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Sabres had their West Coast swing this past weekend, and we were saying like, yeah, they need to take at least 4 of 6 of these points. And
Hmm.
we made a really good point of saying they can easily take all 6 of these points. And look at that, our wish came true. All taking 6 points, sweeping the West Coast road trip. Let's start out with the Kings. Find this really impressive. Number one, a power play goal. That's still impressive for me as a Sabres fan.
Yep.
But a 1-0 win. I say that says more about this team than a power play goal or the other two games combined. That this
Yeah.
team can finally, yeah,
Lukin and coming and getting a shutout. After he had his little hiatus, whether he was sick or injured. I'm thinking he was more sick. Um, and it was huge. It's a huge. I mean, that was the one game where I'd be like, they might not win this game.
yeah, for sure.
And I actually stayed up, watched all three games. Um, I was impressed. I was impressed in the way the Sabres played. A couple dumb penalties. But overall, I mean, I think the Sabres played well. And those were three huge games to win as they move on um, throughout the season. I mean, you go to California, you want to take all three games. I think their worst game was against Anaheim. I think they should have killed them. Um, but I mean, you still salvaged a win. Going down early, getting two goals at the end of the second, and then eventually winning in overtime. I think that was huge. And then San Jose, that's a must win. If you don't win that game, time to sell the farm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I 100% agree with you with the Anaheim game. That's the only game I saw the most of because I was working. I had late games Friday, so I was able to stay up, and then Saturday I worked through that entire 8 o'clock start because they had the big
Mm.
Joe Thornton jersey retired. But good for him. Congratulations, Joe Thornton, getting his jersey retired up in San Jose.
Yeah,
But
I've
again,
had Peyton Krebs paying hit tribute when he scored his goal.
yeah,
And also whoever scored for San Jose, they also paid tribute in the first goal. So that's huge. I mean, Jumbo Joe was such just a huge part of the game. Drafted first overall to the Bruins in that massive trade that sent him to San Jose, and then finishing out his career in Toronto and Florida. He's just one of the best passers that you have ever seen, and a guy being that size, being as great as a playmaker as he was, is incredible.
yeah, and it's it's a shame not seeing the Sharks win on a night like that, but at least the Sabres can walk away with 2 points. Again, the goal scores for the weekend. Jason Zucker coming away from the weekend with 2 goals. One against LA on the power play, and another one against Anaheim. Tuck again, 2 goals along with a shorthand, one of them being shorthanded against San Jose. That's one thing the Sabres have not had problems with this year, is their penalty kill. It's been
Penalty kills been
it's
huge.
been very good. Yeah. I wouldn't say outstanding, but it's been the best they've had in a couple years from what
Yeah.
I've seen. Um,
Yuri Kulich getting his first goal of the year.
yeah, OT
Might
winner.
yeah, might be first of his career.
Let me
No,
double check
second,
that.
second, second of his career.
Yeah.
But huge. Um, it was oh sorry, it wasn't the first of his year. It's the second of the year, second of his career. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just huge for the Sabres getting that OT winner. Um, it was a well needed game that they needed to win, and luckily they pulled it out at the end. And I was nervous there for a little bit.
No, I was too, because like you said, I was honestly they did not play a good game against Anaheim, but um, everyone kind of pulled together at the end. But that start of the game, that second period was really, really shaky with them. And that's what we've seen out of this team the last 5 years, is they're a streaky team.
Hmm.
You win three, you lose three. That's literally what's been happening this entire season. They just need, hopefully this is a start to them, calming down a little bit and being able to put a couple more wins together. Wednesday they have the Wild, and then
Yep,
they host the Canucks on Friday.
yep.
Um, Not exactly
Um,
sure how the weekend looks after that, but those are the next 2 games.
so we're looking at here. I mean, tough loss to the Sabres, but hey, three's a winning streak. They just got to keep it
Yeah,
rolling. Obviously you're not going to win that with the rest of the season. That'd be huge. But right now, Sabres sitting in a playoff spot.
yeah. I
Sabres
mean,
sitting
obviously,
third in the Atlantic.
and we all think about this. Everyone's talking about wild card spots. Think about the Sabres can pull out a divisional spot in the playoffs. That would be
Be
the city.
incredible.
The city might burn just for that, let alone winning the Stanley Cup. Um,
Bills good, Sabres, they're not good, but they're getting there. Every year
yeah,
we see improvement out of this team.
mm,
We're
yeah,
not losing major guys anymore. Like we lost what, Gergensons, Oposo, like those guys that weren't putting up points,
yeah.
you know.
It is sad to see the last player to put on a Sabres jersey with Ryan Miller, though, go walking out the door and Zemgus Girgensons. But you know,
Right.
you got you got to let the past be the past and move on. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, a fun fact being, if you line everything up, the Sabres and the Bills have never been good at the same time. And I have zero research behind this rather than just the way I'm thinking about this. Sabres in the 70s, starting out franchise, was a pretty solid team. Performed
Hmm.
very well, made it to the cup finals in 75, lost to Philly. The Bills sucked in the 70s. The 80s is where they were kind of even, both really 90s, the Bills start the rise. Early 90s for the Sabres was kind of a lull. Bills started dying out in the late 90s. Here come the Sabres back in the late 90s, obviously making the cup run in 99. We all know how the 2000s goes with the Bills and the Sabres. Sabres being
Not a great time for the city of Buffalo.
no, but the Sabres picked it up in um, perennial playoff contenders. And then 2011 hits. Both team Sabres kind of take a nosedive with the Bills, and look, now the Bills are back on top, and the Sabres haven't seen the playoffs in 13 years.
Yep.
What can we
I mean,
say?
that's just the way it goes. But I do want to
It's
add one
Buffalo.
more point since we're talking about the
Yeah.
Anaheim game. Can we officially say that Trevor Zegras is the biggest poser in the NHL? He
I
is not
think
good.
no, all he has is hands. He comes up with a couple highlight reel goals every year, and that's
But
all
he
it
has
is.
3 points in 15 games.
You put him in front of that and have him he won't do the dirty work. That's the thing.
No,
He
no, he's a
he won't
he's a he's a California pretty boy.
exactly. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. You put him on a team with imagine if he was on a team that Torts was coaching. That kid wouldn't last 10 minutes on the ice with Torts.
No, he'd be playing in Lehigh.
I don't even think he might be down in the coast at that point. I don't even think he'd be able to handle Lehigh. And
He's
again, the
not
only thing
good. The only reason he's in the NHL still is because he plays for Anaheim.
yeah, plays for Anaheim, and again, as I said, he puts up two or three highlight reel goals a year. That's all it is.
Yeah, and gets a
Well,
freaking cover with Sarah Nurse
I,
in NHL. Now I
yeah.
was so mad. I am the biggest Trevor Zegras hater, and like I can't even say like I would root for him if he's an American because he's not good enough to make the national team. Like
Yeah.
that's
I
what I
mean, you're
say.
right.
Like
Yeah.
I am a huge Austin Matthews hater, but I'm gonna be cheering my ass off when he's playing for Team USA in the Four Nations Cup.
Oh, 100%. I've as a Sabres fan, you're a Bruins fan, but hate him when he plays for the
Yeah,
Leafs. But he puts on a USA
absolutely.
jersey. Yeah, let's go. All
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
But Trevor Zegras, he's never gonna touch national ice unless it's like playing for men's worlds because Anaheim sucks so bad. He's a shoe-in for that team.
Yeah. We're seeing Alex Tuck even plays for that team, and he's another guy. He's a good player. He's not going to make the national roster or Olympic roster
No, no. Send
with
these
the
boys to
talent.
the
With the
Olympics.
yeah, yeah.
When you have Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, uh Al, what's his face? Matthews, you know, Charlie McAvoy. Like you're not gonna see it. I was actually
Yeah.
listening to Spit and Chicklets the other day, and
Mhm.
they forgot almost till the end about having Rasmus Dahlin on the Swedish team. Like, how do you not? He's one of the best
Right.
defensemen in the league.
Captain, best defenseman in the league. However, do you know who leads points out of all defensemen?
Yeah, it's freaking Owen Power.
Owen Power, arguably the worst defensive defenseman on that team, but he leads the
I
league in points for defensemen.
dude, I'm the biggest Owen Power hater. I think
I
if you
hate
are
him too.
6'4" to 6'6", whatever he is, and you don't throw the body, you should be playing it for the Amerks. I'm sorry.
It's the same situation with Seagrass. If he wasn't producing, he would be in Rochester slumming it around with Ryan Johnson right now.
Yeah. Get
Um,
Brett Murray in there or something. I don't know. Brett Murray will throw the freaking body.
I love Brett Murray. From the time I spent in Rochester covering the Amerks when I worked for the radio, I was always like Brett Murray. He's a great fourth line center. Put him in the fourth line center. Throws the body. He fights. I want to say a couple of the games I did my last year out in Brockport, I want to say he got tossed from two or three games for um too many fights. I forgot what the actual number is, but I want to say it's three, right? Three fights and you're gone for the game. It's something
I
like
have
that.
no
I don't
idea.
know. But he got tossed from three games for having too many fights. Um, and just for the record, I pulled up the projected USA lineup, and he's not even Trevor Zegras not even sniffing the lineup. I mean, Alex Tuck is even at least an honorable mention on the NHL.com,
Yeah.
but Trevor Zegras nowhere to be found.
No.
Um,
Dude's terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible at hockey.
right. Um, to be fair, Austin Matthews is kind of near the bottom of the list, but he's at least on the he's easily on the
But
roster.
you're going to get 40 goals plus out of Austin Matthews every year.
Yeah.
Even if he's a defensive liability, and he has gotten better as he's gotten older. He's no Selkie trophy winner, but like
Mhm.
as he's matured and aged, he realized like, oh shit, maybe I should play defense. Maybe that'll win us more games. And the Leafs are good right now. The Leafs have
They're very
locked
good.
up.
Yeah.
Leafs have passed the Panthers.
Hmm. Yeah. Like
First
I
in the
said, though,
Atlantic.
they're the. I honestly believe, unless Boston can figure out what they're doing, the Leafs and that they're the only ones that can, and now, as you said, have really challenged the Panthers in this division.
Yeah. Yeah. Bruins had no
Um,
chance against them. The only reason the Sabres beat them was because every single one of
well,
their good players was hurt.
or sick. I'm pretty sure Matt Kachuk had the flu, but yeah, that's. I'll take.
Yeah. And
I'll
then
take a.
Bob wasn't playing.
I'll take a win against a divisional opponent, let alone the Panthers, whenever I can get it. I don't care who's,
Yeah. I mean, 2 points
but
is 2 points
still, yeah,
regardless. But,
yeah, for
you
sure.
can't say like, oh, Sabres are better than the Panthers. Like, no. Like they're two of their superstars weren't playing, and Barkov wasn't playing. Like that's their three best players right there. You can't argue that.
No, 100%. Here's one thing I actually want to ask you guys. I'm scrolling through this projected Team USA lineup. your three goaltenders. Of these three, who are you who are you not dressing? You have Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman.
Jeremy Swayman has been terrible this year.
That's I 100% thought the same thing.
I
Honestly, would you
mean,
take?
coming into the season, I'd say like Jeremy Swayman has an argument to be dressed, but as of
Mhm.
right now, it's Connor Hellebuck.
Would you make an argument that he could lose his spot to Patrick?
I mean, I guess you could see an argument for it, but I don't know. I just don't think like Jeremy's just had a tough start to the year.
Mm.
And I think it's because he missed training camp and the stress of going through contract negotiations. I mean, that takes a toll on
It
you. And
does.
then all of a sudden you're thrown in with no like team training. I mean, obviously he's training the off season with his private coaches and whomever, but you know, I think Swayman's gonna figure his shit out and he's gonna be back to playoff Swayman.
Yeah. Like I said, obviously these are all just projected lineups. Nothing is broken yet. Nothing has come out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is just pure speculation. But as of right now, the forwards are looking like Cole Caulfield, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Jack Ensel, Jack Hughes. That could be a whole line. The Jack Cube line up front. Probably funny, but Clayton Keller, Chris Kreider, Dylan Larkin, Austin Matthews, JT Miller, Jason Robinson, and then Brady and Matt Kachuk rounding out
JT
your
Miller,
forwards
I
for
mean, depending on he's away from Vancouver right now, so I don't know what's going on with him. He may not
me.
be even able to play.
Yeah. And a couple other honorable mentions include Vinny Trocheck, Brock Messer, Alex Tuck, Troy Terry, and Matt Boldy. So,
Matt Boldy, love. Um, who'd you say after Trocheck?
Brock Messer.
Love that too. I mean, those are just gritty guys.
Yeah. I
And Matt
mean,
Boldy, he's just a great hockey player. I mean, and he gets underrated because he plays in a smaller market like Minneapolis. You know, like
mhm.
not that Minneapolis is a small market. I mean, obviously Minnesota huge for hockey, but they don't care about the NHL as much as they care about high school hockey
I
or
know.
like the Golden Gophers.
I mean, you've seen those videos out of what high school hockey out of Minnesota. It's just insane.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, the best way I could equate it is Minnesota is like Alabama or Texas when it comes to football. Like they give a shit ton more about Friday Night Lights than they do about the NFL.
mhm.
Like college football in Alabama, huge.
And I'm speaking as someone who has played a high school game in an NHL arena. I mean, we weren't even close. We barely filled up half the lower bowl in
Yeah,
Buffalo when I played there. Um, but what was it, almost 8 years ago now. No,
right.
6 years ago now. My bad. But I couldn't imagine selling that place out like they do in Minnesota. That is just insane.
Like
Um,
Plattsburgh State, obviously you've been there,
yeah,
2,000 seats. You know, that's where
Mhm.
we played high school games and we sold out almost every game. But
Yeah,
also,
that's
what the hell are you gonna do in Plattsburgh? You know,
exactly.
like
Yeah, yeah.
so you know, we sold out a lot of our games, which was super cool. And then I go and play club hockey in Springfield, Mass, and you like are scared to go to the rink because people are shooting heroin outside the rink, and uh, it's just a shitty town.
Well, have you tried working a game at High Park lately?
I refuse to go to Hyde Park.
I don't blame you. That's where I work most of my games, buddy. Now you know how I feel when I this weekend I literally worked like 10 games at High Park this weekend. Anyway, going back to this USA roster for the defensemen, John Carlson, um, Brock Faber, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, and Zach Werenski. Projected
I
lineup.
think that's
I
fine. I think
I love it.
John Carlson just his age. That's the
No, I
only
know.
issue. He's still a great defenseman. It's just, I mean, what about like bringing in a younger guy? You know, not
Uh,
that Carlson doesn't deserve it.
mhm.
Um, you know, Quinn Hughes obviously he's a shoe in. McAvoy's a shoe in. Wierenski,
But
that dude's on an island of his own in Columbus.
I mean, honestly, as you said, that the decore's a lot for me. Obviously you could swing Carlson in and out, but The other six are honestly, if they're only dressing six guys, I think Carlson's the odd man out.
Probably just for the youth, but
Yeah.
he'd be a great locker room guy. He knows how to
Oh,
win.
100%. That and that I would, in my opinion, that'd be the reason they keep him around. Two honorable mentions there are Keandre Miller and Noah Hannafin also, who are
Noah
also in talks.
Hannafin, Keandre Miller's overrated.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we saw, oh my God, who was it on TNT that just absolutely destroyed Keandre Miller? Was it? No, it wasn't on TNT. I want to say it was Sean Avery though. I saw it on Twitter somewhere. Sean Avery
I
goes
didn't see
on
it.
like a rant about Keandre Miller. I want to say it was during a Sabres game too. That last win the Sabres had at MSG. Don't quote me on that at all, but I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. Um, but again, I like the defensemen where they are. And again, as I said, the goaltenders right now, um, Connor Hellebuyck, Jake Ottinger, Jeremy Swayman, and Thatcher Demko also in conversation there.
I mean, if America doesn't come out on top in this competition, then there's something wrong.
While we're on the topic, let's take a look at the Canadian roster then.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
Canadian forwards. I mean, that's where they're gonna kill
it's
us.
in,
But
it's insane.
yeah,
I
it's
mean, I
stupid.
mean, if
It's stupid how
I
good
mean,
they are.
you have Sam Reinhart probably playing third line, and that's
Yeah,
at best. Um, that just tells you how deep the forwards are. Uh, I mean, even their defensemen, it's. I think to say the Americans have the edge on the defensemen though. There's some
yeah,
great
absolutely.
names on there. There's some great names on there, but I don't know about honestly. I don't know about Alex Petrangelo. I'm not exactly.
Yeah, I don't think
I
he's that
yeah.
good.
No, I don't either.
He's a big
Let's see. There,
body,
that's about it. He'll throw it around. That's about it.
right?
Um, the the Canadian defenseman look obviously Alex Pietrangelo, as I just said, Evan Bouchard, Noah Dobson, Cale Makar, Josh Morrisley, Shea Theodore, and Devin Tays.
I mean, your best guy is Cale Makar, but he's not even a defenseman.
Easily. I know. I know.
Evan
Like I
Bouchard's having a terrible year.
mm,
Did you see that giveaway he had in the Leafs game?
I did. Yeah, it was just horrible.
Oh my God. Like, and this is a contract year for him.
Mm.
He played so well last year, and then this year, it's like, oh, yeah.
It
Defensively, I mean, they're not bad, but I mean, like, compared
uh,
to the U.S. is going to have, compared to what
U.S.
Sweden's
defensemen are
going to have,
stacked. Yeah.
even Sweden, Victor Hedman,
Mm-hmm. Darlene.
Dahlin, Eriksson Ek.
Yeah. I mean, the the not just defensemen either. I just scrolled down to their goalies, and this is the worst set of goalies I think the Canadian roster has seen in probably 20 years. It's Jordan Binghamton, Sam Montembeau, and Stuart Skinner.
Yeah,
I think it's the worst three
that's,
goalies they've seen in 20 years compared to what
and
they've had over the last 20 years
I
in
mean, they
Carey
had
Price, yeah,
Marty
Carey
Brodeur,
Price, Patrick Waugh,
um,
Luongo.
Luongo, like, shit. Like, Canadians were always stacked with goalies, and they just have nobody now.
Yeah. The only other person that's really in conversation other than those three is Aiden Hill.
And he really hasn't done anything.
No, no. He's at this point he's losing his job to Ilya Samsonov in Vegas.
Yeah,
And that's saying a lot.
and that's tough. Yeah.
I I
Read
really
me through the forwards. I mean, obviously we know they're stacked, but
yeah. Matt Barzell, Connor Bedard, Sidney Crosby, Alexis Lafreniere, Nate McKinnon, Brad Marchand, Mitch Marner, Connor McDavid, Braden Point, Sam Reinhart, Mark Scheifele, Steven Stamkos, and Mark Stone.
yeah, I mean,
There's no argument that's the best forward group out there.
no, no. I mean, they'll probably end up scratching the young guys like Lafreniere and Barzal.
Uh, I I wouldn't be surprised if I see Dard playing third or fourth line. I think he
I,
has the
I
talent
wouldn't
to
be
be there.
surprised if Bedard doesn't play that every game.
I didn't want to stretch it that far to say that. I believe that, but I think he'll at least dress. At least dress. Um, but I mean, if you're at the point and you're scratching someone like Alexis Lafreniere or even Connor Bedard, I mean, that should show you how stacked that team really is. So let's switch it over to the PWHL for a second and take a look at this new rule they're implementing in the league. It's called their no escape rule. So it's kind of similar to the no change icing. And I really want your opinion on this. I obviously being a referee and refing some high level games. Um, so the idea of this rule is if a penalty is called, the offending team is not allowed to change until after the faceoff. So if your defenseman gets a penalty, you got to play with three forwards and a defenseman until you can get the puck out of your zone and get to the bench for a change, or get the freeze the puck and get a change out there to get your PK system out there. Before I hand it over to you, though, in Montreal over the weekend, they used 17 different players in 5 different combos in 2 minutes to try to figure this out on what they're going to do to to create a strategy for this new rule.
Is that for the Montreal PWHL team?
Yeah, yeah, Montreal victory.
So here's my thing with it. So as a referee, and I spoke with one of my American League friends who has also ref the PWHL.
Mhm.
And I asked him about it when you mentioned it to me. And I said, what about when there's a delayed penalty?
That's a good point. But at this, well, at least at this rate, I understand where you're going with. At least at this rate, I would assume it's. I can't even argue with that because I just came up with a problem in my head as say it's a 2 minute delay and they're changing. There's a whole bunch of other. Say they
Yeah.
put two changes. I just came up with that now, so I have no idea. But
You know what I mean? So it's like there's a
yeah.
delayed call, right? As soon as the girls see that there's a delayed call, they rush to the bench to change.
Hmm.
I understand it from a perspective of like, say your defenseman takes a penalty, then you're gonna have three forwards out there and one. I think it's gonna increase goals, but from a refereeing perspective, it is putting too much on the referees, and it is like it's a great concept, but I don't think it's gonna work.
No, I agree. Like I said, from what I read, at least they're just testing this theory in the preseason which is going on
Mm-hmm.
right now. Actually, um, I did not see anything if they were actually going to implement it in the regular season, whether it be this year or next year. Now they could very well be, but I didn't see anything about it, at least for this year. So, it again, it would be a real interesting one just to see. And obviously, you're talking about the referee side, but think about the coaching decisions that have to go into this. You got to try to figure out, okay, so what are we going to do here? Try to figure out these line combinations. And with the rules they already have in place on the PK, obviously if you score on the PK, penalties are raised in the PWHL, which I think
Yeah,
is a
love
great
that.
rule. I love that.
Love that.
Keep the game
Yeah, I
moving
mean
and everything.
it rewards the team for getting a shorthanded goal, which is so hard to do.
I know, and again, we loop it back to the Sabres, who have what, three this year already, but we already
Yeah.
talked about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great rule. I think the NHL should implement it. I think every league of hockey should implement that. Um,
I want to, I want to say there's a couple of European leagues that do that already. Also, I want
there
to
could be,
say
yeah. I'm not sure,
one
but
of the Germans, yeah. Um,
it's a great rule. I love it.
mhm. I just, as you said, I don't know where this one, how they're gonna put this. They're gonna have to have extra spotters in the arena to do this. I Unless they just say whoever's on the ice. I have no idea how they're gonna
Yeah, but think about that. Like,
enforcing.
and then
I
you have to
know.
go
Yeah.
pull people off the bench. Like, that's just going to give time for teams to rest. Because then
Hmm.
you got to go to like video cameras and look at who's supposed to be on the ice, and then they're resting when you're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
think
think
that's just putting too much on the referees. I think it's a good concept. I just don't think it can be implemented to the best way possible.
this is a one of those situations like you want to be unique, but you're just doing a little bit too much to be
Hmm.
unique. But it's just too much. Like as we just said, the PK goal rule, great. They allow body checking along the boards now. Great change to women's hockey and girls
Yep,
hockey. Um,
absolutely.
love that. The fact that they're even playing at all, I absolutely love because it is entertaining hockey to watch these women play. It
It
really
is, and
is.
I'm actually super pumped when they come to Buffalo. I'm gonna go to the game.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
if
Let me
I
know when that
can.
is. Yeah.
January 23rd, I think it is.
We should do a live pod from the stands. Good idea. No, that's a horrible idea. I tried to do a live podcast one time. It was one of my old podcasts, the one that only lasts like 3 episodes. Um, and we tried to do it live from the airport after the Bills beat, I want to say it was Denver to win the first AFC East title of this
Hmm.
run. And that was just a horrible. We were like hanging onto a light pole, and that was just a horrible idea. But I digress. Um,
Yep.
back to
Back to
PK.
hockey. Back to hockey. Talk
Back
about
to
a lot of
hockey.
NFL today.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we should start filtering in a little bit of that. But that's, that not today at least. One more just rules thing I want to talk to you about. I didn't really bring this up to you, so I want to kind of throw it in your face.
Hmm.
Nashville this weekend. Uh, two minor penalty for incorrect starting lineup. Do you see this?
Yeah, I did. It's a protocol penalty.
I know.
You
I
see it more in college,
mhm.
but that's just that's 100% on the coach, and it was good on Seattle's assistant coaches for picking up on that.
Yeah, and
Um,
just for everyone out there that didn't see it, Nashville's lineup card listed Steven Stamkos starting. And instead it actually ended up being Philip Forsberg on the ice. And for everyone else wondering about this, because I read a little bit deeper into this, it does not involve the number physically on the back. The names have to match up for this penalty to
mhm.
be called. And the team I'm going to say challenging here, but that's not the proper term for it. The in this case Seattle picking up on this, they have to notify the referee before the second face-off. So this had to be a pretty quick process for this. Obviously, um, they have the starting lineup right there in front of them, so they can easily just kind of look down and be like, "Oh shit, that's definitely not Steven Stamkos."
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, uh, how many of those have you had to call in your career?
Maybe one or two more in junior hockey than anything.
Fun one to discuss at the bench.
No, 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 because then they blame you, even though it's their own damn fault.
Well, I mean, it's always the ref's fault.
Yeah.
I had a Here's one for you. I gave out a bench minor too many men a couple weeks ago. The coach, they're down. I want to say they're down two. It's like a 4-2 game or whatever. Coach pulls the goalie, right? Six people out. The puck just barely gets in the offensive blue across the offensive blue line. Team poke check comes back around. You know what this coach does? Sends the goalie back out on the ice. And the goalie dives and stops the shot in front of the net. So here's me, too many men. And the coach is like, "What do you mean, too many men?" I turn, I go, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. And I point at the goalie, and he goes, "Well, the goalie's allowed to be." I'm like, "Just can I get one person for the box, please? I just want to go home.
Yeah.
There's 30 seconds left on it."
Yeah.
But
It's just coaching in general. I mean, I had that same
I
thing,
know.
and if you want to go into like college hockey now, like so this weekend I did SUNY Plattsburgh against SUNY Canton. Timeout called. So there was a penalty. So you in college hockey, you're allowed to pick your side. So Plattsburgh picks their side and then calls a timeout. and then they wanted to change the side. Well, no, you can't. It is
Yeah.
written in the rule book this year that you cannot change your side. And it's just a
Mhm.
lack of college coaches just not knowing the rules. And then it's
I
our
mean,
fault.
yeah, it's as simple as I had the same thing today work this weekend working a tournament. They're not just not reading the rules. It's handed to, at least at some of these tournaments for youth hockey, the tournament director hands the coach here, and it's usually just a singular sheet of paper, maybe two of them stapled together. It's not much to read. Here's your rules for the weekend. Take it away. But no, they have to.
USA
It's
Hockey
always,
Rulebook is free on Google.
yep. I mean, even if
NCAA
you want,
Rulebook is free on Google.
all you got, and most of the time, all you got to do is type your question into Google, and the
Mm-hmm.
first search result's going to be the exact rule
Mm-hmm.
quoted right there from the rule book. But yeah, let's switch it to SUNYAC hockey as you brought it up. Obviously, you said you were out at the Potsdam. Which one did you say you had?
I was
Can't.
at Plattsburgh against Cortland and then Potsdam against Cortland.
I gotcha. So so Friday at least, Plattsburgh, Cortland takes down Plattsburgh 3-1. Potsdam over Morrisville 5-0. Buff State taking down Oswego 2-1, and Canton taking down Fredonia 6-4. That was your Friday scores from the SUNYAC. Your Saturday scores include a 3-2 win for Buff State over Canton, 4-2 win for Cortland over Potsdam, 4-1 win Plattsburgh over Morrisville, and finally Oswego finishing it up against Fredonia 4-1. Um, my surprise of this first real week of SUNYAC hockey. They've had a couple games, but this is kind of like the first week they really kind of meshed
I got a
together.
surprise in there too.
Yeah, are we thinking the same thing?
You think of Buff State?
I'm thinking Buff State on top. Yeah,
Buff State going over Oswego.
I know,
Holy crap. That's huge.
and they're top of the conference right now too, which I haven't seen in at least a year, maybe two.
It's been a
Um,
while. Buff State hockey.
yeah,
Like
they've always been that middle of the pack team. I mean, they're 4-2 in conference, 5-1 overall. 1 point ahead of Oswego right now. I can't ask for much more from a Bengal at this point, eh?
no, no. And going into this year, I have a really good friend who plays for Buff State. Unfortunately, broke his back during preseason.
Oh,
And one of their better players. And like you look at Buff State. I mean, they got worked by Geneseo in the preseason. Worked.
I'm gonna see it was a perennial powerhouse in D3 hockey.
They are, but like just the way they look. But then for them to go on after that 3 weeks later and take down Oswego,
I know,
when you look
insane.
at SUNYAC teams, the best players are always going to go to the Plattsburghs or the Oswegos or the Geneseos because they have the best. I've never been to Brockport, but I just know that
Right.
you go into Buff State's rink, it's like this is a college hockey rink. You know,
It, to be honest with you, Brockport's kind of the same way. I'd say Fredonia, Buff State, and Brockport are about the same. You walk in, be like, yeah, this is college hockey. And then sometimes you walk, honestly, even Brockport, you walk in like, yeah, this is D3 hockey, and they're always middle of the pack teams. When Brockport was in SUNYAC, they were always if they made the playoffs, they were the one. I want to say they were a 6 seed the first year and a 4 seed the second year. Like there was always middle of the pack. But
and then you have
I will
teams
say,
like Plattsburgh and Oswego who have D1 facilities,
I know, and honestly, could
and they
be
get D1
D1
amount of
facility.
fans.
Yeah, they could easily be D1 schools if, or at least D1 hockey programs. In the case of RIT, a D3 school with a D1 hockey program, if
Right.
they just honestly were in a little bit of a bigger area and just were a little bit of a bigger school, they could draw for a D1 school, or at least make an argument of moving. Geneseo now, if it was just a little bit of a larger school, I think could make an argument for moving up to D1 or at least D2 into that
Yeah.
one conference that they have.
But then you look at schools like Clarkson and St. Lawrence. I mean, they're not massive schools, but they're still Division One.
I mean, even Niagara, full D1 school too.
Niagara. Yeah, they're a full D1.
Which
Canisius, full D1.
and arguably, I mean, you can make the argument that um definitely Oswego, possibly Plattsburgh, and even Geneseo have a better arena than and facilities than Niagara for hockey at least.
Yeah, and then they probably get more
Definitely
fans as
Oswego.
well.
Oh, easily. If you're packing 2,000 people in the Plattsburgh, easily more than Niagara.
Every game, every game.
Yeah. And I've called games at Plattsburgh. I absolutely love the atmosphere. So actually, here's a funny story. My freshman year of college, we're going out to Plattsburgh. It's the first road trip of the year. I'm brand new to doing radio. And so my job as a color guy, my job is to do the intermission interviews. So I take the wireless mic, take my skinny little ass that I was not skinny back then. It was more like rolling down the stairs, but I go down to the hallway in between the benches in the locker room and literally pull a player off the bench. I had the best pitch because I knew most of the guys would be like, "Hey, who wants to talk?" And one person would just kind of stop, and I'm like, "Okay, we'll do you." Um, and at this point, I didn't know people's names, so I had my notes with me. I had to look at the back of their jersey to get their name right. I didn't really. It was our literally my second. I want to say this was my second game. So like when I say new to this, I'm like brand new. So I ran down pregame to check the mic because you want to check the wireless mic. That'd be a horrible thing to happen, mid game, turn on the wireless mic and nothing, right? Um, so the way I would do it is I would usually put my headphones on because usually I was no more than 50 to 100 feet away from the receiver. So I put my
Mhm.
headphones on, turn my mic off, turn the wireless mic on, and just talk. And the way it would broadcast, I'd be able to hear it in my headphones just standing there. But at Plattsburgh, the press box is on the opposite side from the benches. You got to go
Yep.
downstairs under the stands, and I had to stand in that hallway between the benches. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna wander down there and see how it works. And usually because I would say something completely random to test. I literally just go like penis into the mic to see if it worked. Well, thank God I didn't do it that day because I tested my mic out. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And I tested out downstairs, didn't hear anything. So I wanted to go back up and make sure it worked. Test it out again. I hear it in my headphones. I'm like, is there an echo in my headphones? So I say it again. I'm like, that is super weird. I take my headphones off, say it again, and I wasn't saying like penis or anything. It was the one time I did do that. And it turns out that our wireless mic receiver was on the same frequency as the arena. So my mic was going all over the arena. I was like, oh, I need to change that. Um, like it was just my partner's doing his interview with Brian Dickinson, who's the Brockport head coach. Mid interview, they're both like looking at me like I'm changing it now. But yeah, that's my other than getting thrown out of a Dick's up in Plattsburgh, that's my Plattsburgh story from that year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Plattsburgh's a fun town. I mean, especially when it comes to hockey season. Not really much else going on at P State other than that, but yeah, yeah.
I mean that's a fun road trip too. Doing that Potsdam Plattsburgh swing. Um, I remember we didn't plan very well and decided to go back through the Adirondacks on the way home.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm assuming, being from up there, did you take the Adirondack roads at 11, starting at 11 p.m. at night in
Nope, but I
November?
will tell you a story when I was going home this week. So
Oh
I'm
no.
going through Speculator, going through Route 8. All of a sudden it starts snowing.
Oh, that's fun.
And there was 3 inches of snow. It took me 9 hours to do this 6 hour drive.
That's fun.
I thought I was gonna die.
I think I got you beat though. 11 p.m. going through the Adirondacks, coming back from Plattsburgh to Brockport. Pitch black. We don't know where we're going. Obviously, no cell reception, so our maps are just gone. We're
Mm.
navigating by the literal stars in the glow of Rome in the distance. Okay, that's all we see. And
And for
again,
those of you listening, it's Rome, New York, not Rome, Italy.
yeah, yeah, not Caesar coming over the fucking Alps here. But I'd see Rome, New York in the distance, Utica over to the side. I'm like, split the difference and we'll hit 90 somehow. Um, all of a sudden, my buddy I'm driving with, again, there's like 3, 4 inches of snow on the road. My buddy goes, "Hey, watch this." Turns the lights off, middle of the mountains. We're just like, "Oh no!" Or no, I have a video of it. It's great. But we're driving and we come along, an 18 wheeler jackknife on some random ass road, and it's like I want to say it's like 1:30 or 2 in the morning at this point, and we both look at each other like, and so we get out, and I look at him. I'm like, there's a singular house at the corner, and I look at him like, you think if I walk up there and knock, they'll let me take a shit? I just really had to take a shit. I ended up walking out into the woods, and you gotta do what you gotta do. But when you're stuck behind a jackknife trailer in the mountains for 2 hours, but
Yep.
that was all the same trip, by the way. That was
Hmm.
that was an entertaining Plattsburgh trip. Anyway, let's get back to hockey for a second here.
Yeah,
Let's
you want to
keep it
move on
with
to Rubber
college.
Duckies?
Yeah, we have big Duckies game coming up this week.
Big
Um,
Duckies game.
so is if you follow the Instagram, you know of this it's kind of an asshole, but Carl on the team. Big loud, he's loud, obnoxious. No, he's not really obnoxious, but he's loud. I think we can both agree he's loud, right?
I wouldn't say that. Opinionated.
Opinionated. Okay, we'll go with opinionated.
Yeah,
Um,
he's mad at you because we didn't get him on for the pod last week.
he was supposed to come on today. Where is he?
I never texted him. I told him that's your job.
I don't have his phone number.
Oh fuck. Oh, he's gonna hear it now because he listens to the pod.
Yeah, well, it's at 2 in the morning while he's driving, so it's fine. Um, anyway, he's playing on the other team this week, though.
He isn't.
He is, from what I'm hearing right now.
Mm.
So
Little
this should be
pregame, little pregame stats for you. Rubber Duckies 7 goals per game. Ice Wolves 4.8 goals against. Rubber Duckies 4.8. Ice Wolves 5.7. Um, they've got us in power play goals, and we have them in penalty minutes per game. So going into it, you got to stay out of the box, right? I mean, that's basically what that's telling us.
I mean,
Uh,
of the two people that took a penalty in the last 2 games, I mean, only one of us has to stay out of the box.
Listen, I took one penalty and it was a good penalty.
It was a good penalty, but I haven't taken a penalty, and I think I only take penalties against Palm Palm Isle. But you know, that's
Looking at points
that's great.
leaders, goals for the Rubber Duckies is Zach Mecca with 8, Ryan Leamer with 6 for the Ice Wolves. Um, with assists, we're looking at Kyle O'Brien with 9, Tyler Dunning with 4.
I
And
want
for
to say,
points, what's that?
yeah, I want to say O'Brien's. That's all politics for O'Brien's to say. They're all they're all they're all secondaries, and it's all like, hey, 25 at the assists there. I mean, granted,
Unfortunately, it counts just as much as a primary.
I know. I just want them to start counting it when I say it to them because they don't count mine when I skate up like, hey, give 9 that assist. They just give me your goals instead.
Yeah, I'm getting hosed this year. Overall points for the Rubber Duckies, David Held leads us with 13. And Ryan Leamer leads the Ice Wolves with 9. And O'Brien leads the Duckies with penalty minutes.
That
Um,
that sounds accurate.
yeah. Overall, looking into it, we're sitting at 3-3, looking to go above that 500 mark. Ice Wolves are 2-3-1, looking to pick up a win after a loss to the Angry Beavers last week, 6-5. Um, I mean, this is definitely a team we could beat. You
I
know,
mean, it is. I'm looking at the same web page you are right now. In the teams that the mutual teams here, they beat Flavortown 4-3. We beat them what 9-2. Uh, close. They lost close game against Black Sheep. We lost close one against Black Sheep. Um, and then there was those are the only two that we've each played, but at least in the last 5 games that I can see.
Yeah.
We can easily beat this team. We were right in it the last time. I think we just got tired when overtime rolled around, and we were very
We
short. But we have what? We had eight
yeah,
guys that game.
we had a short bench. I was hammered. Um,
I mean,
going into tomorrow.
hammered is an understatement for you in that game. But
Oh my God, yeah. No, it was just the Sabres before, and it was too much.
yeah, I mean, it is an 8:40 or 10:45 game, so I'm not expecting much out of our team participation tomorrow. But hopefully, it's more than eight guys. Um, I know we have
Yeah, we
Thanksgiving
should
coming
be
up, so
good.
I know we have Thanksgiving coming up, so it really depends on who's working Wednesday.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Uh, that's the life and planning of beer league hockey right there. It's
yeah,
not the NHL, it's not the NHL where everyone's showing up and getting their free game skates and like we talk about all the time on here. Now it's show up, get hammered, and hopefully wake up the next morning in time to go to.
yeah. Um, we are sitting tied with Reverse Retro for first in the league or first in our division. So, um,
Do you mean Palm Isle?
yeah, sorry, Palmyra.
Yeah, because
They
reverse is in the other division.
I think they tied last week. So we were 1 point up on them. They're tied with us now. So, um,
Yeah, I see that they're 3-2-1. Yeah.
um, so yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to a good week here. It'll be it'll be fun.
Oh no, they tied Mad Dogs early in the season. Um,
Okay, okay,
they lost 3-2 to Buffalo Fire Department last week.
okay. Yep, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it should be a good game. You know what, though, one team, I don't think we'll play them because they're in the other division. No, one team's really coming out hot and a new team this year.
Hmm.
Dewey's Landscaping up in the top division.
Yeah,
Um, and I
coming out super hot.
and I know a lot of these guys because I played with them at one point. Um, a lot of the guys on that team I played with. And I want to say three or four of them still play at N Trip right now, N Triple C, the
Okay.
community college up this way.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only reason I know that is we were using their locker room this weekend for the tournament games. But
Gotcha.
yeah, no, they're a good team coming out. Young, they're a young team. I want to say well, I was gonna say they're younger than us, but then I remembered that our entire team is younger than me. So
Yeah. Except for Mur.
yeah, me and Murr and I are the oldest two guys on the team. It's really does not make me feel good, but that's
Yeah.
besides the point. Um,
Mur's out
but
again
yeah,
this week.
no news on who we have yet. I got to text Flynn about that. There will be a press release coming out once I figure out who is in net for us this week. Um, but yeah, what about the Duckies? How do you feel? The first full game as a committed defenseman now. How did that feel for you last week?
Felt good. It felt really good. I think we just played well. I think it was one of our best games that we played.
Yeah, it was a complete game too. Everyone was
Mhm.
moving, the puck was flying. Um, there was a lot of talking too, which is weird. I mean, I would show you guys that it was a lot of talking, but someone forgot to bring the mics. Um, I don't know whose fault that would be.
My bad.
So we're gonna have mics this week.
Yeah, they're in my car already.
Okay, good. Anyway, but no, there was a lot of talking last week. It just seemed like everyone was having fun. Um, and it wasn't, what did we win? 9-4 or 9-2, something like that.
Yeah, 9-2, I think.
And for the most of that game, it didn't feel like a 9-2 game. It
Yeah,
felt it was hard. It was fast paced. It was competitive for most of that game. I want to say we
yeah,
only pulled ahead at the end of the second and the third.
yeah.
So at least half that game was pretty competitive.
Yeah, I think it was 3-1 going into the second.
Yeah, I believe so. But it was a good test for us last week. 2-game heater. Um, Good going in against Ice Wolves. We only had, and that was our second game of the year too, when we lost to them earlier. So
Right.
hopefully at this point we have a little bit better chemistry, at least with the newer guys like Mecca and a couple other guys just starting out with us this year. So, and we're actually going to have Mecca this game, which is going to be nice.
Yeah,
Because
should be
he was
huge.
one of the guys. Honestly, if we had him the last time we played these guys, it wasn't going overtime. We
No,
would have won
no,
hard.
no. You're missing a lot of guys that game. So I think it'll be good going into it next week or tomorrow, um,
Yeah, tomorrow.
as we're recording this. And hopefully come back with a big win, and next week we can be happy.
Yeah. So with that, I guess that would do it for this week for the Duck Pond. Any last things before we head out?
No, huge game tomorrow. Stay updated on the Instagram, and the Twitter. Um,
Yeah. What's the
see
TikTok handle?
rubber dot duckies dot hockey.
You want to try that one more time just so everyone can hear it?
Rubber dot duckies dot hockey on TikTok.
I think your radio voice is starting to come in finally.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. I know mine still hasn't. But you can follow us on Instagram at Rubber Duckies Hockey and on Twitter Rubber Duckies HC because apparently someone already took Rubber Duckies Hockey on Twitter. Whoever that was, I really hope it wasn't the junior team, the Akron Rubber Duckies baseball team creating a hockey team. Else I'd be really bad about that. But yeah, Rubber Duckies HC on Twitter.
If you're listening, our legal department will contact your legal department.
Yeah, it'd just be a big memo that says "fuck off" on it.
Fuck
Because
you.
I do legal now too, right?
Oh, you're Rubber Duckies legal now.
Anyway, moving on. Yeah, Rubber Duckies Hockey on Instagram, Rubber Duckies HC on Twitter. Other than that, we will see you next week on the Duck Pond. Thanks for listening.